which seems like it leaves the door open to, fishery damage and toxic waste and, let's say,
Yeah.
all sorts of other environmental
Yep.
catastrophes that could be going on under the surface. Why do you think that
Uh,
humans are so fixated on this single metric, carbon dioxide?
I think I think I think we are fixating on carbon dioxide because it's the most important metric. That's one. I think this is the most important one. Uh,
Say more.
Methane might be also important in the future, but right now all
But
our
is it
fossil.
possible? Hold on. Is it possible that the carbon dioxide, let's say that humans stopped producing all pollutants and kept producing carbon dioxide at the rate that they're producing today? Is it possible that ecosystems would be able to recover sufficiently to mitigate the additional carbon dioxide? Or
I don't think
alternatively,
so.
if you get rid of all the carbon dioxide, let's say magically in the next century, you get rid of all the carbon dioxide, but you still have the polluting industry. You still have
Yes.
all of the other inputs. Do you think that ecosystems would recover?
Pesticides and
Pesticides, yeah.
I hear you, but the effort to turn around energy production, which is centered around the burning of fossil fuel and carbon dioxide emission, this effort will be so big, and the electrification of our energy system will um, should should have as a byproduct that certain things will be also sorted out. But I must admit that in that book, for example, the ocean are not mentioned, and
Huh.
they are. It is assumed it is either because the author didn't want to open a can of worms, or because he thought that the ocean would pay the price. Because anyway, the
But yeah, that's exactly
if
what I'm talking. That's exactly it. It seems like there's a lot of, if you focus only on one metric, and we know that the carbon
no,
dioxide on Earth has gone through the roof in the past without the humans around, and it'll probably go through the roof again, and it'll sink back down, and the ferns will
no,
sop it
no,
up,
no, no,
and
no, that's not the way to look at it. That's not the way to look at it, because that metric is directly connected with temperature, and the temperature is directly connected with survival of lots of species.
but the
So
temperature's been
it
varying a lot, right, throughout the history of the planet.
yeah, and so has the biodiversity of the planet. And if you increase the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, you can get a, 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 a mass extinction, and that's what we're getting. This is what we are getting into. So this metric is not measuring something else. You call it a metric. I think it's wrong. It's not a measure of something else. It is itself bad. We use GDP. GDP, we use it to measure well-being, wealth, and so on. And it is a bad metric. This is because it is a bad metric because it doesn't describe what the real thing that happens, which is how the majority of population partakes in the economy. But carbon dioxide is not a metric. It's not a measure of something else. It is itself bad. And so I don't agree that doing that metric, reducing carbon dioxide alone, wouldn't be the thing to do. It is the thing to do because the political power of the fossil industry is so immense that if it were broken, the issues of fisheries would be easily settled. Basically, you can break this issue of carbon dioxide emission by polluting industry. You only through a political change that is massive and would involve lots of people, the majority of population on Earth. And if we succeed in that, the other stuff is easy to solve.
So,
But we, because it's not a metric.
so what you're
It is the
saying,
thing.
what you're saying is that carbon dioxide needs to be mitigated because it is a readout for energy systems that burn things to provide.
Fossil fuel, yes.
Or biochar, or whatever it is that people choose to burn. But basically, humans have been combusting things for a really, really, really long time. And if humans can figure out how to power their civilization without burning things, then a lot of problems get solved. Because
Yes.
there's a lot less of a burden on the planet.
I should add that I was getting worried as I read the book that population never got mentioned. And then it got mentioned near the end. Because the democratic, with small d, change that would be necessary to shift over to a decentralized electricity-based world civilization, these democratic changes would change also the population, the standing of women in all cultures, and that change status should be that every woman can control how many children she wants to have, independently of her husband or whatever man. That is a crucial element of our survival. That woman can make a decision of every children they want to have. But by the way, I'm the first of eight children. My mother didn't want any of us.
Aw.
She loved us all, but she didn't want any of us. She was a victim of a policy, a natalist policy that France had, that prevented women from being able to regulate the number of children they have. And it is assumed, this is probably not correct, that democratization would lead to reduction of the number of children that people have. It probably is true, but I would at all mind if public service announcement were done, especially in rich countries, to have fewer children. I think the economists that tell us that we need to have a pyramid of young people to help to maintain economic growth are completely insane, because this pyramid is what is causing us to move toward 10 billion people and beyond, which is completely insane.
Well, hold on. Before we go to the insanity of demographics on Earth, I want to finish with this question of carbon dioxide. So we settled that there is a good reason to point to carbon dioxide as a necessary metric to deal with, or a necessary...
As like an output marker for industrial control, let's say, over the general operation.
It's not a marker. It is the thing.
It
is not a marker.
Well, it's one of the things, right? I mean, we have pesticides, we have nuclear...
Hold on. It's different. Because carbon dioxide is from fossil fuels, right? So, like, construction. The construction industry is like 20% of emissions on Earth, right? So anytime you build a building, you have to make cement, and making concrete is really energetically expensive. Okay.
I understand it's threatening and on its own level, but it's also a marker.
Hold on. Let me make this presentation. It is being used as a marker for doing other stuff. So we interviewed someone who studies solar geoengineering. Do you know what this is, Dr. Pauly?
Yes, sure, I do.
Yeah, exactly. Your reaction says everything. So what is happening is that carbon dioxide is being used to justify this sort of technological development that humans can't possibly know the outcome to.
Well, the solar engineering people who, if that's what you mean, or propose to prevent sun rays to all sun rays to reach the Earth by releasing particles. This is also dealt with in the book. I think it is crazy.
Did you write this book?
Because, pardon?
I said, did you write
Did
this
I
book?
write it?
Yeah, is this your book?
No, I didn't write it.
Okay.
But I was really impressed by it. It is crazy because all it would do, it would prevent warming, but it would not prevent carbon dioxide to pile up, and it would go acidific. It would continue the acidification process, and basically it would remove the incentive to actually generate less carbon. And our civilization would then be at the mercy of the continued insulation of this provided by these particles that we would produce, and that is a sure thing to ensure a quick catastrophe a few decades down the line. I think this scheme which would sacrifice the ocean, the world ocean, that is one thing, but are completely insane, and they are a result of consideration like how can we prevent the changes from affecting the fossil fuel industry. And basically the fossil fuel industry and the industries that generate lots of carbon dioxide, like the construction industry, they have to change. And if they don't change, the trying to prevent sun rays from reaching the Earth so they can continue to emit is completely insane. But the people are so twisted by the belief that things have to continue to be done the way they were done before. That is a real problem. And if our civilization commits suicide, that is going to be it. That's going to be that way.
So let's say that you humans figure out how to completely abridge your carbon output. Will that fix the oceans?
If we continue to fish the same way, certainly not. If we continue to use them for dumping plastics, certainly not. It is a necessary condition, not a sufficient condition. And basically, all of this, that what we're talking about, are all necessary conditions. They are not sufficient conditions.
I love that.
The sufficient condition are the finishing touch.